enter what the scholars and great beings are saying. Focus your attention and intention on discovering what they really mean. Try to understand the words as if you had written them yourself. This may mean reading the words slowly with pauses for inner contemplation. You may want to focus on a single teaching for a time, even if you don't understand the exact meaning of a particular text consciously. You may still be receiving teachings from it on a deeper level. So perhaps, for example, you may find an inspired section or verse that intrigues you. But perhaps you don't really know quite what it means. You may want to read that teaching every morning or even several times a day to give your consciousness a chance to bathe in its hidden gifts. If you do this, the meaning of the verse will certainly begin to open to you, and you can even type up your own contemplation and post it in an area where you will notice it during your daily activities. Even if you don't read the words every time you see the paper, just having it present near you will help remind you of the teaching. Now, this is interesting that, you're in the suggestion is to start preparing your environment for the teaching in metaphysical thought or metaphysical sense. Now, there are 4 steps to expanding your knowledge of great spiritual truths through a process of study, reflection, application, and integration. Okay, so this is we're gonna talk about a spiritual truth. And in this spiritual truth, you're going to expanding your knowledge of it through the process of study, through the process of reflection, through the process of an application, and the process of integration. So study, hear, or read spiritual teachings about the truth. At first, the concept being taught may or may not be clear to your mind. Okay, now see, truth is an interesting thing. The ascension is, of course, what truth is. All the truth is coming out. Truth, and then how different individuals throughout the world within the last 12 years had to face the truth, so to speak. So truth in this, truth in itself emerges. This is what we see now, especially in 2025. Okay, so this is you study, hear or read a spiritual teachings about the truth. Okay, so that's the study. Now the reflection, the second part, repeatedly reflect on and contemplate the deeper meaning behind the words. Bathe your mind in the teaching. Okay, now, to contemplate. One of the things in higher consciousness is you're giving yourself the mantra, Gwaja, 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 love, 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 getting in higher consciousness and being in higher consciousness with the name that you've given yourself, you have all the knowledge of the universe. So that reflection, when you're contemplating, repeatedly reflect on and contemplate the deeper meaning behind the word. So you bathe your mind in the teaching. Okay, so that's within your higher consciousness. So application. Apply the teachings to circumstances of your life. As you go through the events of life, look for opportunities to apply these spiritual teachings in practical ways. That's Joe Ray I was talking about. When you do this prayer for somebody's got a headache, a backache, something wrong with their, leg, who knows what, but you can do this Joe Ray. It's a teaching. It's a spiritual teaching, a Church of World Messianity. So here you are channeling this light or this energy key, really is what it is, the key, universal key that just comes through you that you're doing. So again, this is trying. So this is the application. Okay, so the application of doing this. Now, integration. Become one with that knowledge and awaken to your own personal understanding of the truth. Eventually, through your concentration and focus on the essence of a particular teaching, it is no longer a teaching you have heard or learned. It is no longer a teaching you have heard or learned. Your personal understanding of the concept becomes fully integrated into your own belief system in your own way. So this is an integration. Become one with the knowledge and awaken to your own personal understanding of the truth. Eventually, okay, through your concentration and focus on the essence of a particular teaching, it no longer becomes a teaching to you that you've heard or learned. What happens now, it's become fully integrated into your own belief system, in your own way. Now, here are a few more tips on how to read ancient wisdom, okay? Now, learn enough about the culture it comes from to be able to separate the essence from the cultural coverings. In this way, you can find the kernel of truth instead of getting lost in less important details. Okay. Learn enough about the culture it comes from to be able to separate the essence from the cultural coverings. In this way, you can find the kernel of truth instead of getting lost in less important details. Okay, I got one for you. Guelo and Guela. So ancestrally, your grandparents' skulls were in the house. So learning about that culture and understanding the Guelo, the grandmother, the Guela, the grandmother, the Guelo, and the grandfather, how that culture, now it comes to be able to separate the essence from that cultural coverings. And this way you can find the kernel of truth. So the kernel of truth is that your Guelo and Guela are with you all the time. So ancestrally, there's not much going on. You're cooking, you're gathering food, or making a canoe, but what else is going on as you walk through the village, as you're walking through the Lade sites, as you're walking through in that experience? To your left and to your right is your Guelo and Guela into that realm. If in fact you think about that what you're doing here now, you're learning about a culture, and it comes to be able to separate the essence from the cultural coverage. The essence is the grandma and grandfather. The cultural coverings is Guelo and Guela. You know, thinking about Guelo and Guela, asking permission or anywhere where we are now in the modern day. But in those days, because you had their skulls in the house, they were present in this. So that is that's the kernel of truth, okay, is that they were present with you. And that's, to this day, our respect that we have for Guelo and Guela, right? When anything that we enter into, anything that's not a modern civilization, going into the jungle or doing whatever, into that aspect that we're respecting and showing the guides for Guelo and Guela. So, okay. So when possible, learn the original words and language enough to understand their meanings. So in Chamorro, Chelu. Chelu, when possible, learn the original words and language enough to understand their meanings, is both brother and sister. One word. It's a metaphysical word. It's not tied to a gender. It's not Guela or Guelu. It's Guelu, as for male, the brother, and the female sister. One word. Okay, so that's the original word and the language enough to understand their meanings. Okay, there you got a metaphysical word. Most words don't have an exact counterpart, so it may take some effort to get to a point where you really understand all the parts of this particular word. Okay, now read what resonates with you. Begin to trust yourself more. If something doesn't really make sense to you, find another teaching that does. There are so many options available to you, from stories to insight gems, to biographies of spiritual beings, to detailed academic writings from the East and the West. When you think about something, what resonates with you, and you begin to trust yourself more, you write. You begin putting it down on paper, put it in your computer, and you write. And if something makes, what you write is what makes sense to you. And then once you've written about what makes sense to you, maybe that information may be published, and see if it makes sense to anyone else. Now, don't repeat or pretend to know what you don't really understand. It means, yeah, I know. Right? That's pretty much, I know. The problem is, I know. The problem with that is that if you know, you don't learn anymore. You're supposed to say, I don't know. When you say, I don't know, then you still have a chance to learn something. But if you say, I know, you don't get to learn anymore because you already know. Interesting, right? While reading certain metaphorical or story-based scriptures, look beyond just the outer story. Many people mistakenly focus on the details of an antidote instead of on the essence of the teaching within the story. I'll tell you, that Snow White as a story, you think about it, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all? And you look at that, and you look at what that turns into, the greed and the viciousness of finding someone who's more beautiful than you, fairer, lips as red as rose, fairer. And then to the point of the viciousness of ordering the huntsman to kill Snow White and bring back her heart as proof. Metaphorical. Look beyond just the outer story. The huntsman couldn't do it. Killed a deer and brought back the heart of the deer. Saying, yes, it's Snow White's heart. Who saved Snow White? Bambi and Thumper. They were there. She was sleeping, and all the animals were surrounded her, right? And when she awoke, they were all there to take her to the cottage, because of her essence. You know what Cinderella's name is?
Actually, no.
Her name is Ella.
Cinderella.
And it was the stepbrothers called her Cinderella because she had cinders on her from sleeping next to the fire. So her real name's Ella.
Okay, Princess Ella.
Princess Ella, absolutely. So, in this thought, many people mistakenly focus on the details of an anecdote instead of the essence of the teachings within that story. Very powerful, very powerful. Having the thought of integrating your consciousness with 7 dwarfs in a setting of diamond mining. Wow. That's what they were mining, was diamonds. And each one having their personality. Each 7th dwarf, were they grumpy, bashful, sleepy. All of those individuals having their own personality that they could communicate just by how you looked at them. Then, of course, the mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all? And the mirror, of course, said, oh, Snow White. What? I thought Snow White was dead. No. So there, the raven or the crow leaves the castle and flies around and finds Snow White in the cottage of the 7 dwarfs. The metamorphosis of the evil queen turning into a haggard old woman with a poison apple, ruby red, beautiful poison apple. Taking it, of course, to the cottage, delivering it to Snow White eating it, and who went and got the dwarfs? Bambi and Thumper. Bambi and Thumper go and get the 7 dwarfs and bring them back. 7 dwarfs chase the woman after they find Snow White, and they chase the evil stepmother, and she falls off a cliff into her demise. Snow White is dead. She ate the poison apple. She's put into a glass coffin. Now, the prince had seen Snow White years and years and years ago when, of course, she was at her own castle underneath her stepmother's thumb. So he finally finds her in the forest, in the coffin, and he kisses her. And she rises, and they get on his horse, and he takes her to his castle in the clouds. She was dead. So this story-based scriptures, looking beyond the outer story, many people mistakenly focus on the details of the anecdote instead of the essence of the teaching within that story. Don't worry, folks. Angel's going to come and get you. The angel's going to come and get you. Don't worry. You got all kinds of protection in all kinds of parts of you. Now, there you are. That's the time. That's the time you say, okay, let's go to the source. Let's go to the source, and let's not reincarnate. Let's not get back into the third dimension. Let's go to the source and see what we can find there. Try it, or think about it. Just put that in within your mind and the aspect of whether or not in your essence that is a choice you want to make. Some folks, they say, Edgar Casey, some of these folks, is that there's an event that's going on, of course, now, 2025 into these years, that's a change, an ascension that's going on. And that people who have already evolved past their lives here in the third dimension, and they've done reincarnations, and they're in and with the source, that they were given the opportunity to come back and be here again for this event, this thing that's going on the planet Earth. It's interesting. It's interesting if you Google fifth dimension, you Google some of these things, and just see when you hear people talk about these things, and you see what you see. See if it fits at all in your frame of a metaphysical thought, or if it's something that you feel comfortable with, that you're able to deal with in that realm. Of course, through love. This is the important thing. Some scriptures have a simpler storyline superimposed over many other layers of meaning. Therefore, it's possible to read a single divine scripture for many years or even decades and constantly learn more from it. I tell you, mine is Siddhartha, the ever book Siddhartha, Herman Hesse, his book Siddhartha. You get a chance, even if you have Audible, or you can bring it up, but it's called Siddhartha. Herman Hesse is the author, and Siddhartha, the story of story of Buddha. There's a lot in line also. How it all comes out, but really fascinating in that story. So that's something that I read over and over again, and every time I read something from it, I learn more, of course, in my own spiritual growth. Your own level of awareness expands to include deeper layers of meaning that were always in the writing, but may have not been accessible to your prior level of understanding. It's spiritual maturation, where everybody's at a different level of spiritual maturation. Chronological maturation is your age. Intellectual in that part of you where intellectually your maturity and where you are and what you see is often belief systems in that maturation. But spiritual maturation Spiritual maturation is again your comfortability in different levels of consciousness and where you are in your spiritual maturation. That's everybody has their own level of that sense. The key again to spiritual maturation is being authentic with it, the authenticity, and only you as an individual can give yourself that authenticity. That's so real. Now, when you approach teachings on a particular path, make an effort to read the original writings of that path, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, or words of one of the many great spiritual souls that have sparked one or another movement or tradition. As years go by, original teachings are often intentionally or unintentionally trimmed or interpreted according to the prevalent worldviews and intentions for their followers. In other words, there's changes. This is something that may have had, but this is something that you'll find. Surely, knowledge is the food of the soul. Socrates. Knowledge is the food of the soul. And we get as much knowledge as possible, knowledge in your evolving, your soul being your higher consciousness, being the name that you've given. What's the name of your soul? John, Christopher, Tomas, earlier this evening. And now, of course, we have our ability in that communication, to see where you have something, and katira emerges, and that's important to have where you recognize the individuals. For Jenny Fuuna is so much as that in that higher consciousness. Words are the yarn from which the clothes of experience are woven. Therefore, it's worth your while to study words, meanings, and ideas that will add beautiful colors to your cloth, to your soul's dance. Okay. Evolving. If you take, I know Sanskrit is there as a linguist, and with those words and with the vibration of those words and how they fit are very powerful. Me not necessarily being a linguist, what I of course project is the guaja, the love, whatever your mother's authenticity, that language, and the word love, and that's your mantra. That's the one that's going to solidify the conduit from third dimension to fifth dimension. So spiritual, really studying these teachings can bring many personal benefits, really including the following. Spiritual teachings act as guideposts along the way. Spiritual teachings help you recognize certain signs of progress so you can gain greater understanding of the twists and turns of your own journey. And spiritual teachings give you new words and concepts to consider as you expand your understanding of yourself, of God, of Mother Nature, of life itself, really. Spiritual teachings help reveal your own ever-fresh spring of spiritual wisdom. This spiritual teachings help you realize that you aren't all the things society thinks you are. Rather, you're a spiritual soul seeking to find your way back to wholeness, self-recognition, and remembrance of your true nature. That's who you name. That's the essence you name. That's who you really are. And that essence resides in the fifth dimension as we evolve, as our spiritual maturation grows from the third dimension through the fourth dimension. Fourth dimension is like, you think, more like time in itself, and we don't really want to deal much with time. This is something that we, in your infinity, in your eternity, and that self is more in line. Although you may not agree with every teaching you read or hear on your journey, the teachings and thoughts of spiritual teachers are generally good company for your mind. Their words can help to expand your world of possibilities. For example, if you never even imagined that a particular goal is possible, how can you possibly know that it is what you really want? One analogy the sages use to illustrate the importance of learning spiritual knowledge is that of a man who hangs all night long on a branch of a tree, not knowing that he is only a few inches from the ground. Without spiritual teachings, you may not have the resources to judge where you really are in your life or on your journey. So this is there's some words again. Like I said, I'm not a linguist by a long ways. Really, scriptures from India. Okay, we're talking a little bit about again India. Being Hindu. Hindu religion is. They're all favorites, of course, whatever we can gather from these different senses. But a Hindu sense that these teachings are extraordinarily spiritual knowledge and of wisdom, extraordinary. And in the following, you can listen to a verse that has been translated in several English versions that are available. Okay, now in this verse, the Lord is describing to his disciple Arjuna an image of how his supreme form is the underlying reality behind everything. Okay, so the Lord is describing to his disciple, okay, an image of how his so we got a male here, so that's one of the part of it, of how his supreme form is the underlying reality behind everything. Okay? Each of the following is a different translation of that same verse. Okay, so let's go back. So here it is. The Lord is describing to his disciple. So this is, you're going to hear, this is coming from the Lord, and he's saying this to his disciple. And what he's saying and talking and describing an image of how his supreme form is the underlying reality behind everything. So thou art that. You're everything. Okay. So here's one of them. Okay. Arjun. He's saying this is Arjun. There's nothing else besides me, like clusters of yarn beads formed by knots on a thread. All this is threaded on me. All this is threaded on me. Okay, boy, these are all good things to think, right? Okay, Arjun, there is nothing else besides me. So this is that thing where he's saying, describing to the disciple the image of how his supreme form is the underlying reality behind everything. So he's saying, so there is nothing else besides me. So, okay, so that's exactly what he said. The image of how his supreme form is the underlying reality behind everything. Okay, so there is nothing else besides me. Okay, and then saying like clusters of yarn beads. So you have yarn, and the beads are formed by knots on a thread. All this is threaded on me. Now all this is threaded on me. I can see the yarn. I can see making knots in the yarn. And those knots are formed by, or the beads, the yarn beads are formed by making knots on a thread. So first you're talking about yarn. Now you're talking about a thread. And all this is threaded on me. So you have a thread now, and the yarn beads, like clusters, you're like a yarn bead formed by knots on a thread. All this is threaded on me. Okay? Okay, that's one of them. Here's another one. Nothing higher than me exists, Ariana. On me, all this universe is strung like pearls on a thread. Okay, so now getting back, this is the Lord describing to his disciple an image of how his supreme form is the underlying reality behind everything. So, nothing higher than me exists. Ariana. On me, all this universe is strung like pearls on a thread. Wow. There's another one. There is naught whatsoever beyond me. Whoa. This entire universe hangs together on me as pearls on a string. So this pearls on a string is on a run. Okay? Pearls on a string twice. There is not higher than I. In me, all this is woven as clusters of gems on a string. Okay, now this is interesting. It says, so we've been talking about thread here. We're talking about thread. We're talking about these yarns. We're talking about all this is thread on me. Now they're talking about pearls, strung like pearls on a thread. Then we're on pearls on a string. Back to think about a thread, and then of course there's not higher than me. All is woven as clusters of gems on a string. Different translations can describe the details differently while still getting the basic idea across. Keep this in mind when you read translations of works from any other language. That's pretty heavy duty. I mean, taking the time to try to see these things and to differentiate in the translation of this is luxurious, I would say. It would be a thing that you could only do as a luxury. Because the time it would take to have this. All right? And of course, to judge where you really are in your life or on your journey. So, knowledge is commonly understood to be the amount of information acquired through outside means, such as books or teachers. And a man is taken to be of scholarly attainments if he has stuffed his brain with learned classics that have had their day. But true education begins only when a man turns from all external aids to the infinity within and becomes as it were a natural source of original knowledge. Fifth dimension, you got all the knowledge of the universe. It's all there. It's all there. The most basic tenet of nearly every great philosophical system is to know thyself. This is not a narcissistic luxury, but what life demands from everyone. Every person reaches from the heavens to earth, higher consciousness, heavens. Okay? That's what we're talking about. And perhaps beyond. Exactly, that's what we're talking about. However, most are too busy living in their immediate outer lives to take time to unfold all the pearls of wisdom and artistry that live in each event, each moment, each feeling, and each experience. Life is truly more wondrous than fiction. One way to approach the untapped terrain of inner knowledge is to use the process of writing to dive deeply into events that have unfolded and continue to unfold in your life. Whether outwardly exciting or ordinary, you can discover lessons and insights hidden within each twist and turn of your path. Pay attention to your awareness. Have the love of awareness. Pay attention to detail. Have the love of your awareness. Thank you. Gratitude. State of grace. Consider what the practice of contemplative writing can do for you. Teaches you to respect the intricate beauty of your life, while extracting its juice and lessons through attention and observation. I'll tell you, man, I get completely amazed. I mean, as simple as you would think, just seeing a rooster and a hen. I mean, and the creation of how everything is and where it is and how it is, when you start just trying to get a sense of what this intricate beauty of your life, of even just contemplating a rooster and a hen, as simple as that is. Wow. I mean, that's just you're extracting, its juice and lessons through attention and observation, watching that rooster and hen and its simplicity of their life. Gives you a way to drink deeply from the fresh spring of wisdom, insight, and expression that flows inside your soul. You got all the knowledge of the universe in your higher consciousness, in your soul. And you're named your soul now. You've named that higher consciousness. It's not vague. Confirmation name works great. Otherwise, just use whatever name. Grandmother, grandfather's name. You can add saint to your body's name, just as long as it's something different, because that's what you're addressing. That's what you're addressing. Teachings you to give yourself the reverence and respect that every human being is due. Giving yourself the reverence and the respect. The amazement of here you are in this sense, being able to have some type of a communication, be able to have some kind of a thought process, being able to have some kind of a wake up to who and how all of this is occurring around us. Gives you a chance to explore and organize your memories, feelings, and beliefs, and enter a more objective view of everything you encounter, bringing it all together. Wow, is it the original thought? Getting to that point of original thought without any influence but something directly from your own source? Is that a goal? Of course it's a goal. How many years of people go into a meditation and they're really have a sense of oneness as they merge into their world. And it enriches your life by helping you pay more attention to life, paying attention to detail, having the love of awareness, seeing everything around you. Just amazing. You think about breaking waves. Are breaking waves the sound of a spinning planet that's going 1,000 miles an hour? 1,000 miles an hour. That's what we're spinning. It takes us. We go 24,000 miles in 24 hours. So we're going 1,000 miles an hour. So in this contemplation, is that where the breaking waves come from? Is it where that movement through the ocean, that all this is contemplation. All this is thought. All this is an ability to expand within yourself. Now, consider how interested people have been in every detail of their lives of famous and infamous celebrities. You think about this, and you think about what month's scandal or heartwarming tale is about. Now, that's how interested you should be in your own life. The time you spend studying other people's or listening to the gossip or conspiracies or this or that goes on, you should be interested, and you should be, and all that interest should be in your own life. Every life is an amazing story, no matter how boring the outer circumstances may seem compared to others. Sit down with some of these homeless guys, find out what's on their minds. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing what everybody's trying to do and how they are and where they came from. The process of growing from childhood to adulthood carries countless profound stories and lessons. Your job is to dig for the gems in everything that comes. And that has previously come your way. And don't judge the depths of your life by superficial, shallow measurements such as materialistic accomplishments. Don't judge. That's, of course, one of the big rules in the higher consciousness. No judgment. No, no, no. Now, the purpose of contemplative writing is not only to share your thoughts with others, but also to teach you to look at things with a more conscious eye and to contemplate, clarify, and empower your beliefs with every tool of words. Your beliefs create your reality. Uplift your beliefs, and you uplift the world. We often think, that we're just that one person, right? What impact do I have? What impact do you have? Your beliefs create your reality. Your beliefs create your reality. Uplift your beliefs and you uplift the world. The world's reality. Wow. Wow. Individually. Don't have to wait for anybody, folks. You're it. Second coming, third coming, fourth coming, fifth coming. You're it. Every man's life is a fairy tale written by God's fingers. Hans Christian Andersen. Boy, that's one, isn't it? Every man's life is a fairy tale written by God's fingers. You can know nothing as intimately as your own experience, your mind, your body, the dreams you have at night, the deep urges and emotions that sweep through your being, the hopes you carry deep in your heart, the goodness hidden behind your highest intentions, the confusions you know, and the insights you catch. Because spirit is in everything. You can discover more about spirit through contemplating anything, because your own life is the most accessible information you have. It's one of the best places to grow. Yet, it's easy to miss the many subtle and profound aspects of events while you're moving through them. Emotions, defense mechanisms, desires, and delusions can keep you too preoccupied to contemplate deeply into the wealth of lessons being offered to you in each moment. However, through introspection and contemplative writing, you can delve more deeply into the great lessons of your life. Through introspection and contemplative writing. Contemplative writing, it's not like something, you don't have to share it with anybody. You don't have to, in itself, if you're writing like letters to somebody, you always think what a great thing. I always thought, Tommy Mendiola and Rhoda, I always felt that he and I would be good individuals to share writings with, to send letters back and forth with thoughts. His Rhoda Japanese mind, what his experience was just amazing, and in thought and an ability to come to conclusions about things. I think that's what contemplative writing is all about, is coming to a conclusion. We talk about, okay, here's an experience. We're talking about having something that you can feel good about, and you can feel good about it because it's giving you something. And what it's giving you is ability to, in retrospect and the depth of finding out your awakened call, your awakened sense, your finally you go, oh wow, I didn't understand what you were talking about for quite a while, but you know what? I had this experience and now I understand everything you're talking about. That's what we're talking about, evolving and getting to that where your beliefs create your reality. And uplift your beliefs, and you'll uplift the world, because you'll make the world a better place. It's beautiful. You can know nothing as intimately as your own experiences. That's what you do. So if you write on a regular basis, you begin to discover more about what you are and what you really believe and feel. This writing. I don't know if you ever heard of automatic handwriting. Automatic handwriting, right? You can Google it. What you do, you take a pen or pencil and you put it on a piece of paper. You just put it down. Okay. Then you ask a question, right? Okay. If you want to do a yes or no, or if you want to do something that is more in depth. Whatever question it may be, just be ready for the answer. I think that's one of the things that you can kind of think about. And then if you're writing beautiful poetry or sad thoughts that come through you, or joyful celebration, or grumblings, or profound revelations, you can witness the magnificent and diverse play of your own mind and get to know all the different aspects that make you up. From your wise soul, that higher consciousness, to that frustrated inner child of the avatar. And from their artistic perspective of a writer, you can begin to accept all of these elements and events of your life as your own personal drama, a colorful and divine dance that you can merge with your beautiful photos that you have. Photos. That was always my mom's rule, man. If there's any kind of fire in the house, you grab the photos. That's what you get out first. And which is interesting in that thought, is that ego-driven? Is that who you think that you are? But really, that's just pictures of your avatar. But this in itself, to my mom, was precious memories that would, no doubt, every one of the pictures was a life lesson that was a remembrance. So when you sit down to write, you're making a statement to your own wise soul that you're listening. So this is, again, part of that reciting that we talk about. When you recite, when you put yourself in these places, in these spaces, and you just recite. Recite the words you say are the words of God, the words you say are the words of Mother Nature, and your thoughts. Remember, in your thoughts, in that conduit that's taking you to your higher consciousness response, is the love, 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 whatever your the language of your love. And there you are. There you are. You're Katira, you're John, you're Christopher, you're Tomas, that we talked about tonight within just these last couple hours. To define that much, the immensity to be in this time in the fifth dimension with your new name, having this experience. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And you understand if something bad is happening to you, it's because of the bliss you experienced. That bliss, you're paying for it. You don't think you're not going to pay for those wonderful culinary, delightful food that we eat that is just beyond any kind of expected taste, that you're not going to maybe enter into high blood because of it, or get into a situation where you might have a diabetic diagnostic situation, dialysis, who knows? But what, do we still eat that food? Oftentimes we do, not because you're addicted to it, but because of where it takes you into that space. So competitively with that, in having where you're thinking about, let's have a long life, let's have a life that we do it. And the trick to all of that is just moderation. It's just moderation. Having that really ability to, within yourself, the discipline within yourself, to go through life in a state of moderation. If in fact, for the avatar to, of course, live as long as you can possibly have it live. All right? So, writing, give it a shot, just even on your computer or on your phone in the notebooks. Write something, or just maybe even one word, and in that writing, that's where you enter into the world of contemplation. That's where you enter into the contemplation. The first of the trilogy. The first of the trilogy. The trilogy is contemplation, where you're in meditation, and then, of course, communion. That's the trilogy, and the first one is the contemplation, where you're contemplating all of this around you, and in that contemplation, you come to conclusions. But give it a shot. Give yourself a name. Use your mantra, Gwaja, love, 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 to get into that space, that higher consciousness, and just try it and see if it's not something that you feel very, very strong to continue. Okay? Okay, so we're going to, I think, do the CBS News here, and we have a world to take care of. So everybody go out there and get busy, get busy, get busy, get busy.
GUM-FM, Dedido. The talk of Guam is Wave 105 FM.
Can you buy a house without using an agent? I'm Greg McBride with thebankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. Buying a home is the biggest purchase you'll ever make. Do you have to use a real estate agent, or can you go it alone? The good news is that there's no legal requirement to use an agent to buy a home. In fact, about 10 to 15% of home sales each year are done without a real estate agent. But before you give your agent the heave-ho, consider why you would use one in the first place. A good real estate agent will streamline and simplify the home buying process. If you opt to do the house hunting yourself, you'll also have to research area comps to understand fair market value and be prepared to negotiate if necessary on the price. Your agent can help you navigate the complex paperwork involved, which can include any contingencies in the sales contract, documents required to get a mortgage, and help you find a real estate lawyer to assist with the closing process. Although you can do all of these things on your own, a real estate agent can help oversee the process to make it go more smoothly. For more on this, visit bankrate.com. I'm Greg McBride.
I'm Larry Magid with the Connect Safely report. If you're setting up a phone for a young child, be aware that both iOS and Android have lots of built-in tools to limit what the child can do with that device. Connect Safely Education Director Carrie Gallagher has thoughts on what types of things parents might let their kids do or not do.
They don't need all of the features at once right away. They don't need necessarily the ability to write email, the ability to get on social media, the ability to watch YouTube, the ability to do research. They might need the ability to text you and text their friends. They might need the ability to learn how to set alarms or set a to-do list for themselves.
More, including steps on how you can set parental controls, and the full Doing Tech Right podcast with Carrie at connectsafely.org/radio. With the Connect Safely report, I'm Larry Magid for CBS News.
It's the biggest regret people have about money. I'm Mark Hamrick with the Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. Nearly 3 in 4 Americans say they have a financial regret, according to Bankrate's latest survey. That's a small improvement from 77% last year. The most common regret? Not saving early enough for retirement, cited by more than 1 in 5 Americans. That's followed by racking up too much credit card debt and not saving enough for emergencies. Overall, regrets about not saving, whether for retirement, emergencies, or children's education, outnumber regrets about too much debt by nearly 2 to 1. Retirement looms largely for Gen Xers and baby boomers, while millennials and Gen Zers split between retirement and credit card debt as their top regrets. But here's the catch. Among those with regrets, 43% say they've made no progress toward fixing them in the past year. While we can't control the cost of groceries, we can control whether we've set aside enough money for emergencies or retirement. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamrick.
As AI advances ever faster, are graduate degrees worth the time it takes to get them? I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune Magazine with the Fortune Business Update. Jad Tarifi, the founder of Google's first generative AI team, says by the time you get a PhD degree or become a medical doctor or a lawyer, AI will have learned everything you've learned and more. Now, he says, time would be better spent studying a more specialized topic intertwined with AI, like AI for biology, for example, or maybe not even get a degree at all. Tarifi says thriving in the future will come not from collecting credentials, but from cultivating unique perspectives, emotional awareness, and strong human bonds. He encourages young people to focus on 2 things: the art of connecting deeply with others and the inner work of connecting with themselves. I'm Jeff Colvin.
Cut the sweets and the cravings. This is Soundbites, and I'm Alan Davidson. A little sugar, a little treat, that's fine for now and then. But it's so easy to let those sugar cravings spin out of control. And then it's an empty cookie bag with a bag full of regret. Time to turn to Last Cookie, created to help you break out of that sugar spiral. It's an app that tracks sugar cravings over hours, and it helps you prepare yourself for when they strike. Graphs, calendars, metrics, they all break it down, showing you where your triggers lie and how you can avoid them. And there's even a tool to tell you how much you save by cutting back on the sugar. Control your cravings. Leave that empty cookie bag behind. With Last Cookie for iPhone at the App Store now. With Soundbites, I'm Alan Davidson for CBS News.
Talk the way it should be. Wave 105 FM.
Hi, it's Asa. I'm giving you a copy of my best-selling book for free to help you in your health journey today. I'll pay for the book. All you do is just cover the small shipping and handling costs. Go to asarx.com and get your free book today. Did you know that you can listen to the Asa RX audio experience on Spotify and Pandora? For all the ways to watch and listen, check out our show page at asarx.com/experience. Welcome. I'm so glad you're with us. This show is all about empowering your health in your life. Remember, if the body can get sick, it can also get well. Lifestyles are medicine. So the choices that we make today can and will determine the kind of health that you're going to have. Now, whatever you're struggling with, whatever you've come in here with, whatever you're listening with, viewing with, I just want you to be encouraged that you have a best version on the inside of you. And you have a potential that you haven't reached yet. Wouldn't you agree? Like if I asked anyone right now, matter of fact, if I ask anyone on the street, if I ask anyone in the airport, wherever I go, sir, ma'am, child, have you reached your full potential? Are you who you were designed to be? You see, this show's all about you. It's about health, yeah. I'll talk about health pretty much the entire time. But many people don't realize that their health is wrapped up really in their purpose of who they are. Because if you know who you are, if you know why you're here on this earth, if you know what your gifts and your talents are, it's a lot easier to take care of your health. You know why? Because you've got to have your body to be able to accomplish the things that you need. Our health really is our greatest wealth. Ask anyone with money that has worked so hard to kind of work themselves to death. You ever heard that term? Then they get sick in their 60s, and then they spend up all their money trying to get their health back. So it's about maintaining good health as a marathon, not a sprint. And on this show, we want to teach you those tools so you can start digging in and have your own game plan to really know what it takes to live a great life. Look, it's amazing what you can do if you just learn the right choices, if you have the tools, and we want to teach you that here. Hey, we're giving away my free book. Go to myfreehealthbook.com. It's a hardback copy of my best-selling book. We want to do that for free. We want to help you because of what many people are struggling with right now. My gosh, everything's going on in the economy. We want to do things that will just help you, bless you. Thanks for being a listener, all that kind of thing. You just cover the shipping and handling. But go to myfreehealthbook.com, myfreehealthbook.com. All right, let's get on to the phones. Oh, and by the way, you can call us here on the show. Number's right there, 888-283-7272. Just call 888-283-7272 or go to BelieveHealthTV and .com, and you can send us an email. You can go on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of those. Easy to find. They're all at Dr. Asa. Easy to find. But make sure to connect with us because more than anything, we want to see you thrive and we want to see you do great. So speaking of calls, those of you calling in, let's get on the first call to Wilbert. Wilbert, what is your health challenge?
My question is, for some reason, at night, when I'm sleeping, I have been chewing on my tongue. And in the morning, I wake up and my tongue is really sore from where I've been biting on it. I didn't know if that was a nutritional issue or what was going on.
It's interesting. That's a great question. It's interesting. It kind of is in a sense. Okay, so if you think about it, a lot of times when you have the tongue biting, the tongue can be swelling while you're sleeping, number one. And many times that's a vitamin B1 and a vitamin B2 deficiency. So that's one category that we got to look at. The other thing is that you really have to look at in this is GABA. GABA is a brain chemical, but all the brain chemicals are made in the gut. So they're made in the gut first, and then they're sent to the brain to do the work. But if your gut is not healthy, we call it the microbiome. It's kind of like the environment of the gut. If that's not healthy, then everything else is really not going to function at its peak capacity. So we really want to get things to work as well as they can. So I would get a test done, check your GABA levels, which is one of the main, what we call inhibitory neurotransmitters, or it's the one that chills us out. So if you have anxiety and you've got low GABA, okay? And that's why the drugs that they give, like Xanax, which is one of the top ones, are benzodiazepines. So